Ideas for the present, dreams for the future. Your imagination holds the key. Walt Disney once said the era we live in is a dream come true. But there are still plenty of avenues to explore. The Disney Channel invites you to join us now and imagine.
In the mid-1800s, this beautiful port of Lahaina was not full of tourist and pleasure boats. It was full of whaling ships. Lahaina was the whaling capital of the world, and at that time, the capital of Hawaii. Over 500 vessels weighed anchor here, taking on supplies for the hunt. And by the turn of the century, huge ships with harpoon guns had killed thousands of humpback whales who had come to these waters to spawn. But today, researchers are using Zodiac boats and cameras to hunt this gentle giant of the Pacific, hoping to help them survive. A remnant of prehistoric time and a symbol of hope for the future. The humpback whale has been the subject of man's wonder and scientific research for decades. Yet these creatures remain as mysterious as their haunting songs. Why do they sing? How do they make their way across vast oceans? Why are their numbers still declining? If we could communicate with them, what secrets of survival might they share?
Blow, Pod 9.
This is a land station, and it's used by the Pacific Whale Foundation, a group of researchers that have been studying the behavior and the breeding pattern of humpback whales for over 10 years. And this is the director of the project, Greg Hoffman. What are you looking at, Greg?
We have Pod 9 out here, 2 humpback whales swimming out there west, and there's a fluke-up dive.
Gorgeous. Why are they called the humpback whale?
Well, you'll see when the humpback whale comes to the surface, they'll arch their back, and they have a very large, pronounced dorsal fin. And, of course, it looks like a humpback. Everybody says, why do you hear so much about this whale? It's one of the great whales that is not recovering. It's the 3rd most endangered great whale in the world. And this population out here, in 1966, when they protected this humpback whale from killing, we had 1,000, is now diminished with the cessation of whaling. Over 17 years, we're down to 850. So we have to ask ourselves that question again. If they're not coming back, why aren't they? Marna here is recording the whale's behavior, the travel direction, the number of animals in the pod, the interactions, the affiliation and disaffiliations with other whales. And Kevin here is running a theodolite, and we know our height above sea level, so he gets an angle of the whale, and we can determine almost to the foot how far away the whales are from us. We can call the research boat and direct them right into whales.
I think it's about time we get down on the water and do a little research.
Okay, let's go.
All right. February is a prime time for observing the humpbacks, who come each winter to these waters off Maui to breed and rear their young. Since we were blessed with a perfect day for our expedition, Greg Kaufman assured me that we'd have at least one close encounter with a 40-ton mammal. Well, what can I expect to see? I mean, are they just going to be playing, or?
We'll see whales jumping out of the water. We'll see them slapping their tails on the surface. They'll see them slapping their flippers. A lot of blows coming to the surface. And if we're real lucky, we'll see a mother and her baby and an escort today, which is really fun to watch. Heading out to sea in our tiny rubber boat, I thought of the other whaling parties who had come before us, who had tracked down the humpbacks with harpoons and slaughtered them for heating and cooking oil. At the turn of the century, more than 15,000 humpbacks roamed the North Pacific. Today, less than 1,000 remain. So these breeding grounds are now carefully watched and regulated by the National Marine Fisheries Service and other governmental agencies. Yeah, Pu'ualai, do you have any whales out here for us? Over.
That's affirmative. We have a pod 10, 2 adults. Bearing is 284. Over.
Okay, we got a pod of 2 adults and 1 sub-adult at a bearing of 284. Over.
That's a Roger. Over.
Okay, good. That'll be right out here. So we'll just, this will be whale 1 clear.
Pu'ualai, clear.
We're about to rendezvous with a group of humpback whales. Now, it's a very big moment for us, but probably insignificant to them. Here we are, using sophisticated navigation and communication tools to travel a few miles on the surface of the sea, while these creatures have traveled over 4,000 miles to this spot, without a compass or a road map or even a star to guide them. How the humpbacks accomplished this miracle of pathfinding is still a mystery to scientists. Some believe that whales have magnetites in their brains, a sensing device that allows animals like homing pigeons to orient themselves to the Earth's magnetic field. We do know that humpbacks throughout the world migrate each winter from their polar feeding grounds to warm waters near the equator, where they breed and nurse their young. Most of the northern Pacific humpbacks feed in the coastal waters of Alaska and then travel to Maui for the winter months. But in some years, many of the whales that normally winter in Maui decide to spend the season off Baja, California instead. And this complex pattern of migration has left the experts totally baffled. But no matter how much you read and study about humpbacks, nothing can prepare you for the moment you first meet them face to fluke. Oh, he's huge. Is that his back?
That's his back. It's the dorsal fin. Here's his tail, fluke.
Oh, there's two of them.
Look at this one here. White flippers. You see them reflecting turquoise.
How much do they weigh? They're huge.
90,000 pounds. He's swimming right to the boat. There, the white.
He is coming towards the boat. How do we know that they're not going to come right out from under the boat and just pick us up?
Well, I suppose there's always that chance that a whale could actually pick you up, and they have actually come up and swam next to us and picked up the boat. But they're very curious animals and friendly. They really don't know many predators, say sharks and killer whales.
The blow, is that how the whales breathe?
And a blowhole basically is just your nose. If you can imagine your nose is climbed on top of your head and you're breathing out and out of your nose, and that's the way the whales do it. They don't breathe in and out of their mouth, they just breathe exclusively out of their nose. They have large lungs, they're about the size of a compact car, and when they come to the surface, they exhale, and the air escapes the blowholes at over 300 miles an hour. So the water that sits atop the blowholes is quickly atomized because of the speed of the exhalation, and it's thrown up in the air into this soft plume that you see. And, of course, the whalers used to scream, "There she blows," and that's how they spotted whales before they used sonar.
While the trumpeting sound of the humpback surface blow is impressive, it's minor league compared to the joyful noise the whales make underwater.
Humpback whales actually sing songs, and we call them songs because they make a series of sounds or notes, and they string these notes together to form phrases, and they'll sing these themes over and over again and compose a song.
How long is the song?
The song is really quite long. It's the longest song, naturally occurring song of all animals on this planet. The bird song says 3 to 4 seconds, a little longer. The humpback whale song is about 15 minutes long. The longest I've ever heard is about 24 minutes. And we recorded a whale singing out here one day nonstop for 14 and a half hours,
No.
believe it or not. Now, the way in which you record whales singing is we have an underwater microphone or a hydrophone, and this is what it is, very simple like this. And let's drop it over the side of the boat and place the headphones on your head, and we'll see if we have a whale singing out there.
They're noisy.
That's one whale.
Unbelievable.
It's one single whale singing that song.
Researchers have yet to solve the many mysteries of the humpback's haunting melodies. However, they do know that the whales sing only in their breeding grounds during the winter. And when they first arrive in Maui for the season, the whales all sing the same basic songs. But as the season progresses, individual whales begin to improvise on the theme so that new songs evolve. Now, apparently only the males sing, so these songs may be mating calls, underwater serenades that can be heard for more than 1,000 miles. Humpbacks don't have vocal cords, and they don't produce bubbles when they sing, so they must produce the songs by moving air inside their bodies. While researchers still have a lot to learn about these songs, they have made some recent discoveries about humpbacks who are often seen traveling in trios.
We often see mothers and calves, or mothers and babies, in the presence of an escort or a third whale. And it's often thought that, it was thought that this might be an auntie or a midwife who's helped the mother get at birth with bringing the baby to the surface. We've sexed a lot of these escorts and found them actually to be uncles, to be males. And so we think that this might be a male who's waiting to breed with the female.
Like other animals in their breeding grounds, these otherwise gentle giants will fight it out when they're competing for a mate, using their powerful tail flukes as weapons. But these flukes are usually displayed in a graceful maneuver called a fluke-up dive that has become a telltale tip-off for whale watchers.
When a whale goes to dive, they'll lift their tail up, more often than not. And when they lift that tail fluke out, if you look at the underside, it's pigmented. There's a coloration pattern on the underside. And it runs from all black to all white to every imaginable combination of black and white in between, along with scars and chunks are taken out of the tails, etc. And so we photograph the tail, and we have what we call a fluke catalog, and we identify individual whales by the tails. It's like a fingerprint.
The research continues, and each discovery seems to pose yet another question. Why do the humpbacks leap into the air? Why do they sing? Why do they come here? Will they return? Questions that must be answered soon.
I learn something new every day when I'm out here with the whales. It's really an exciting feeling to be with an animal that's outlived the dinosaurs, has been on this planet for so long, yet we don't even know what they are. We don't even know why they exist in the ocean. What would happen if all the whales went extinct? What would it mean to all of us? That's really the ultimate question. We don't want to wait till all the whales disappear, until we can't see these beautiful animals swimming around out here doing their graceful antics. And once they're all gone, like we say, extinction is forever. You can't make another whale. And I'd hate to see them all disappear before we even ever have a chance to know what is a humpback whale.
You can read about Moby Dick, you can see photographs in books, but there is nothing like seeing the beauty, the power, and the grace of a humpback whale firsthand. At this point, all we know about them only adds up to a marvelous mystery that future generations will have a chance to solve, hopefully. I'm Michelle Russell from the winter playground of the humpback whale in Maui.